Very gratified that the judge today recognized that that is flagrantly illegal.
Tonight on DC News Now, DC fighting the federal takeover, the new ruling on who leads DC police, followed by another directive from the U.S. Attorney General.
Tents and personal belongings trashed by DC Public Works. The half dozen more homeless encampments cleared today.
We're talking about that summer heat and humidity sticking around for the weekend. Could we see a chance for a shower or thunderstorm? The latest details coming up.
President Trump and the Russian president in a high-stakes meeting in Alaska with peace in Ukraine on the line.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Developing now, the federal government's plan to install an emergency police commissioner for the district. It is now over. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for DC News Now at 10. I'm Susan Tran.
And I'm Mark Hall. Chris Flanagan has tonight off. The latest back and forth coming one on day 5 of Trump administration's takeover of the district. Now, part of that effort, clearing out homeless encampments across the district. Just this morning, federal agents returned to an encampment along Washington Circle and Foggy Bottom last night. They told district officials that they would wait until Monday, and we'll have much more on that in just a minute. But right now, DC News Now's Max Marcella joins us as the legal battle continues to test the limits of Trump administration's control over the district.
And Max, this is really a David versus Goliath power struggle here between the federal government and the district. The district, though, getting a bit of a small win.
Yeah, it was a good win for the district. Again, lots still to be determined and settled. But the biggest thing that came today is that Chief Pamela Smith will stay in control of DC Police, not DEA leader Terry Cole, who would have been the emergency police commissioner. But the legal battle between city and federal government, they are far from over.
Hands off, DC!
An order that has the potential to drastically shake up DC police drew anger from some district residents.
It's just wrong.
And serious concern from Chief Pamela Smith, who wrote in a court filing, "In my nearly 3 decades in law enforcement, I have never seen a single government action that would cause a greater threat to law and order than this dangerous directive." But Friday, a federal court intervening after DC Attorney General Brian Schwab's efforts, suing the Trump administration.
Very important win for home rule today.
An hours-long hearing ending with the Trump administration scaling back its order for DEA head Terry Cole to take over DC Police.
So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen.
The back and forth is not done, as U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi filing a new executive order after the hearing. It says Cole has the power to direct Mayor Muriel Bowser to provide services of D.C. Police as the Attorney General deems necessary and appropriate, including assistance with the enforcement of immigration law so long as it doesn't violate D.C. law, and help locating, apprehending, and detaining undocumented immigrants.
We have laws in our city, and that the services that MPD provides in furtherance of a request from the president, those services must comply with the law.
Now, it is expected that the court will take up some of the other elements of the new order from Attorney General Pam Bondi in greater detail next week. Now, within the last hour and a half or so, Bondi did tweet calling out the Attorney General in D.C. for, quote, opposing our efforts to improve public safety in Washington, D.C. Max Marcella, DC News Now, back to you.
Max, let's talk about the federal takeover of DC Police. It comes as the department extends its curfew zone. The new restrictions over at the Navy Yard started about 2 hours ago. It's going to continue until Monday morning, and it means large groups of kids are not allowed to gather there. DC News Now's Yamari Sase will have much more on this in just a few minutes. Yet another component of President Trump's federal takeover is to clear those tent encampments that are scattered throughout the district. He ordered police to help federal agents do that effort.
And one of those sites cleared is at the Washington Circle, where last night more than a dozen federal law enforcement agents tried to close an encampment. Those notices saying that people had till the end of the weekend to leave. DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joining us now live from Washington Circle.
And Daniel, crews forcing people to leave ahead of the original timeline here. So what happened?
Well, Susan and Mark, we can tell you that there was a notice from the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services that said the people living here could stay here until Monday. That's why federal agents ended up leaving last night. You can see right behind me, all that's left is just a little bit of trash here. The Deputy Mayor's office says that federal agencies told them they were going to come today and clear this encampment and others in Northwest. Under the direction of the federal government, D.C. police led the clearing of homeless encampments Friday.
They were shocking and they were lightning fast, and we were not expecting it to go the way that it was.
Andy Wasenick, director of policy for Miriam's Kitchen, watched as the Department of Public Works trashed tents and belongings left unattended.
Folks who weren't there, their tents were just thrown away. There was one person who was there this morning, and she was able to pack up her stuff and move on. And I think we were able to get her in a hotel for at least a couple nights.
He's talking about Megan Abraham, who we talked with Thursday night.
We're just people. We're normal people out here working, trying to do well. And things like this is really, like, to pack up every belonging I have and move to someplace else. Like, that's a stress that shouldn't exist.
Wasenick says 5 or 6 encampments were cleared, including this one near 26th and L Streets.
People have no choice but to sleep outside. Rent in D.C. for an average one-bedroom is $2,300 a month.
The district says it has and continues to offer transportation to shelter, storage of items, access to behavioral health and/or medical care, case management, and connection to other services as needed.
What we're hearing and understanding is that, like, it's done for now, but like that, you know, people could still be engaged by the police, right, and asked to move along.
Now again, D.C. is saying that the rushed clearing of these encampments is not their doing. It's the federal agencies that said that they had to do this. And Miriam's Kitchen, we're told, is going to be out this weekend because of this current situation, trying to help more people get into shelters. We're live in Northwest. Daniel Hamburg, D.C. News Now.
Our thanks to Daniel, and you can see our continuing coverage of President Trump's takeover of D.C. police on our website. Now there, you'll also find the many reactions to the president's action and what D.C. families can expect, and a breakdown of violent crime statistics that police say is at a 30-year low. Just go to DCNewsNow.com and click on the D.C. Takeover tab.
All right, my friends, let's turn our attention to the forecast. We have a weekend coming up, and hopefully you can find some air conditioning.
Yes, that would be ideal, you know, because that humidity sticking around, the heat, the typical August heat sticking around too through the weekend. But we do have a cool down for next week, so something to look forward to there, especially if you're not a big fan of the summer heat and humidity. Highs today, yeah, we reached that high into those lower 90s. DC right around 90, Manassas as well as Fredericksburg 94 up towards Hagerstown and Martinsburg. Thankfully tomorrow not quite that hot, but temperatures out there right now still on the warmer side for this time of the night. This 10 o'clock hour, we're seeing those temperatures upper 70s to lower 80s, still holding at 83 in the district. And yes, still quite soupy out there. Those dew points are elevated well into those 70s. It's that tropical feel to the air that you're still dealing with out there right now, at least next week. We do see a slight cool down, not only in the temperatures, but also those dew points will drop just a little bit more. Radar out there right now, just a cluster of some heavier downpours down across southernmost parts of Maryland. But elsewhere, we're seeing those dry conditions, but we'll likely see some areas of patchy fog that could develop early tomorrow morning. So some clouds and fog in the morning will give way to more sunshine later in the day, but high temperatures upper 80s, talking low 90s Sunday. Chance for an isolated thunderstorm late though. But I'll have more details and the timing of that coming up in just a few minutes.
The President of the United States of America and the President of the Russian Federation.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin in a rare face-to-face meeting. It is the first time Putin has been on U.S. soil in a decade. President Trump framing it as a summit here in Alaska, the first step in possibly ending the war in Ukraine. The notable absence, of course, is Ukraine's president. You can see Putin and President Trump shaking hands there on a red carpet. President Trump saying that the agreement to end the war will eventually have to involve Volodymyr Zelensky from Ukraine, but that is the next step. Be sure to stay tuned for an in-depth look at this really high-stakes summit. Our national correspondent from the Hill will have much more coming up in 15 minutes. DC News Now is your local election headquarters, and there is ranked choice voting in Northern Virginia. ARLnow.com is reporting that voters can choose up to 3 county board candidates. There are 5 people running for the Arlington County Board seat, and the other elections in the county, that's going to go by the traditional voting format. You can learn much more about ranked choice voting at a community forum happening on September 10th. It'll be at the Lubber Run Community Center. Election officials also hope to have a sample ballot for people to check out before Labor Day.
Well, happening now, if you're running out of time to take advantage of Maryland's tax-free holiday, all this week, families have been hitting stores as students get ready to go back to school. The holiday means that no sales tax on clothes or shoes priced at $100 or less, and no tax on the first 40 on backpacks. The Prince George's County Public Schools Director of Family and Community Partnership says the holiday really helps them this time of the year.
So this week is extremely beneficial for parents because it gives us an opportunity to save a little money on the supplies and the school clothing, things like that the kids need to get them ready. Backpacks are very expensive right now.
That first school bell's about to ring, and Jackson is encouraging parents to take advantage of the tax-free session while it lasts, and it ends tomorrow.
All right, the Washington Wizards are also helping kids tip off for a great new school year. Wizards rookies Trey Johnson, Will Riley, and Jameer Watkins, they're all over there at William Ramsey Elementary in Alexandria, giving out some backpacks that were all filled with school supplies. The players also handing out water bottles. There were free haircuts and free books as well.
You know, I feel like it's important to, help build the community. I really care about this community. A bunch of good people around here, so show I care.
The Wizards will host another similar event next Friday over at Randall Highlands and Beers Elementary.